It's a diagnosis no woman or man ever wants to receive, but it's one that happens every 3 minutes, every single day.
Today on Delmarva Life, we're turning pink to celebrate the lives lost, support those who are still fighting, and to rally behind the family and friends affected by this devastating disease.
From personal stories to the latest research, to treatments and prevention, we dedicate today's show to you, the breast cancer survivor. Delmarva Life starts right now.
Good afternoon, I'm Lisa Bryant.
I'm Sean Stryker.
And I'm Jimmy Hopple. Welcome to Delmarva Life for May Pink. Historic Studio D Pink in honor of all of the women and men who have and are still bravely fighting breast cancer.
You know, most of us probably know someone who has fought the disease. Maybe it's you.
This year alone, the American Cancer Society estimates doctors will diagnose more than 232,000 women with invasive breast cancer and more than 2,300 cases in men. The society reports there are nearly 3 million breast cancer survivors in the U.S. And as a matter of fact, Sean, you met one of those survivors, and it's been a long, hard fight, but she's not willing to give up.
Yeah, and Jimmy and Lisa, even if she thought about it, her support team simply wouldn't let her. Now, it's hard to imagine any positives coming from the disease, but if you start talking to survivors, you find stories of overwhelming support, incredible perseverance, and an outlook on life that we all can learn from.
It was a Friday night in October of 2008 that Lori Dalton received a phone call from her doctor that would change her life forever.
We were on our way to a football game, the family, and I had had a mammogram, and I had also had a biopsy because they thought something was going on, and I got a call from the doctor on a Friday night asking me to come to the doctor's office Saturday morning, so I pretty much knew what news he was going to give me.
That news was that Lori had breast cancer, but for the mother of 5, third-grade teacher, surviving wasn't her biggest concern.
I knew I was going to survive it because it wasn't that bad, but my biggest concern was losing my hair, which sounds very vain, and I'm not a vain person, but being a teacher and 550 plus students and staff members and teachers and community members and parents, I knew I was going to be the center of attention, good or bad, for a long time, and I was not comfortable with that.
But as it turns out, being the center of attention of those students, teachers, and friends is what helped Lori throughout her battle.
They rallied around me from day one. I mean, it still gives me chills. We had Hat Day, we wore pink, we raised money for breast cancer, we decorated our classroom doors, and had a competition on who had the best door decoration. They had a hat party for me, and everybody bought me a hat or a scarf and came out and modeled it, which was really cool.
Cool not only because Lori now had a bunch of new hats and scarves, but because cancer can be an isolating disease, and knowing that you have so many people in your corner can carry you a long way.
It means you're not alone. It means that you now have to fight not just for yourself, but for all those people. If you don't, you're letting them down. And that really has pushed me along the way, because without that, you do feel very alone. And then you think about the fact that you can't stop because you have all these people behind you.
And Lori didn't stop. She fought the disease, and it appeared she had won. But in January of 2014, just over 5 years from her original diagnosis, Lori got some bad news.
5 years is a crucial marker. 2, 5, and 10 are crucial. 5 is very good, like you're pretty much considered cured. So I was very shocked 2 months later to find out that it was back again.
The cancer had spread to Lori's liver, and while she was surprised by its return, she was ready for the fight.
The first time it was a huge shock. The second time it was like, okay, I did this the first time, I got through it, I had a huge support system, I can do it again. I knew what was going to happen. I knew, what chemo was going to feel like. I knew what surgery was going to feel like. It wasn't the unknown anymore.
Another thing that was back, her support team, stronger than ever.
I went out of work right before Easter break, and again they had a huge party for me at school, and gave me hats and scarves again. They also gave me a stack of cards. Each grade level had written me a card. So when I was in Chicago, I could open a card each day to get me through the week that I was there. When I got home from my first appointment, my family greeted me at the airport, some friends also, with pink shirts on and signs, Team Lori.
This time around, Lori decided to get involved with Women Supporting Women, a breast cancer support group here on Delmarva.
I didn't really reach out to any support groups the last time. This time I thought, you know, this is going to be part of my life. This is something I'm going to be involved with for the rest of my life. I might as well jump on board and embrace it.
Women Supporting Women has support groups, a library with supporting books and movies, a bra room, and even a wig room. Although Lori says she prefers a hat or scarf.
For me, wearing a wig is lying to myself that I have hair. They're not comfortable either, so I have just always, both times, worn either a scarf or a hat. I've really never worn a wig.
And that look is catching on at home with Lori's 3-year-old granddaughter, Bryn Lee.
When I first lost my hair, she said to me, "Nini, you have no hair." And so now every time I have a scarf on, she has to go get one of my scarves and I have to put it on, and if I have a hat on, she has to wear a hat.
Moving forward, Lori now says she has a new outlook on life and is taking time to enjoy the simple things.
You know, the saying, you don't sweat the small stuff, I don't. Family and friends have become paramount in my life. People think I'm crazy, but I have this fetish with sunsets now. I look at a sunset and it's a remarkable thing. You know, it's the last thing I see before the end of the day, and I know that it's been a wonderful day.
Well, Jimmy and Lisa, we recently received an update on Lori. After several rounds of chemo, she's entering a new phase in her treatment. Her tumors have shrunk and her markers are down, which is, of course, great news. And now she's just an awesome lady. It was a pleasure speaking to her, and we just hope her condition continues to improve.
What an inspiration.
No, kid, great job. Thank you for bringing that story. Now, there's another way that some people choose to fight the disease, and that's with a mastectomy.
And despite the cancer being present in only one breast, many choose to have both breasts removed. Now, more than ever, the number of double mastectomies in the country has grown, but it's a decision that doesn't come without some controversy, including a new study that questions the effectiveness.
I didn't want to wake up every day wondering.
When Sonia Susak was diagnosed with cancer in one breast, she chose to have both breasts removed. She is one of an increasing number of women choosing double mastectomies. But a new study shows going that route does not boost survival in most cases.
We just did not find any survival difference between the women with double mastectomy and those who had breast-conserving surgery.
Breast-conserving surgery removes the tumor from the breast and is followed by radiation. The study also found women who choose to have one breast removed fared worse than just having the tumor removed or having a double mastectomy. The research showed another difference.
Caucasian women were much more likely than other minority women to have a double mastectomy.
The study author says she understands why women under 40 choose the more radical choice.
Intuitively, you sort of think that, well, if I get it all taken off, I won't have to worry about it.
Oncologist Dr. Nitin Rohatgi says this study will help patients and doctors look at the real science behind the choices.
I think we have been doing the wrong thing. I mean, I think a lot of women do it for emotional reasons, not for scientific reasons. You know, they don't do it because it will make them live any longer.
Breast cancer survivor Sonia Susak says it was emotional for her. She says she made the right decision for her, and she's glad the study was done.
I think it will help other women to make that choice, but I do believe deep down inside most women, their intuition tells them what their choice needs to be.
The study also revealed that because tiny bits of breast tissue can remain in the chest after surgery, a woman who has had a double mastectomy can still get breast cancer. And something else to note, you may recall double mastectomies made headlines in 2013 when actress Angelina Jolie had a prophylactic double mastectomy after being diagnosed with a BRCA gene mutation. One important note, 95% of breast cancers aren't caused by BRCA mutations, and most of the women who are choosing double mastectomies haven't been diagnosed with a BRCA mutation.
There's just no black and white rule to this kind of thing. Another major discovery when it comes to breast cancer includes a trigger of what could make the disease more aggressive and deadly in some over others. There's good news though. The risk factor includes something that you do every day that you can change tonight. It's a major discovery about the effects of sleep and light on breast cancer. Tulane's Dr. Stephen Hill and his team put human breast cancer cells in lab rats. Some slept in total darkness, the others with a dim light, so dim you can barely see the difference when compared on his computer screen.
Intensity of light was in a completely dark room and the equivalent of a little crack under the door.
But look at the difference in the growth of the tumors. The big ones are from those not sleeping in total darkness.
These tumors grew 2.5 times as fast as those that had dark night, and that when we treated them with tamoxifen, these tumors were completely resistant.
Dr. Hill says it's tied to the hormone melatonin. In darkness, a gland makes high levels. In light, low levels. The natural rise and fall happens day and night. But with electricity and light from electronics that especially suppresses melatonin, constant light keeps melatonin from rising at night. The same pattern was seen when the rats were given a melatonin supplement.
Their tumor metabolism was turned off, and even metastasis, they were highly sensitive to tamoxifen, and the tumors regressed very rapidly.
Now, if you have breast cancer, or even if you don't, you're probably wondering, should you take a melatonin supplement? Well, at this point, Dr. Hill can't recommend that, but he can recommend that you let your body make and regulate its own natural melatonin by getting a good night's sleep and making sure it's in solid dark.
If you have insomnia and you wake up, don't get up and turn on the lights. Take your tamoxifen at night right before you go to bed.
Now, previous studies have found that overnight workers have more cancer and diabetes because of longer exposure to the light. And guess what? They simply recommend that you wear a sleep mask to cover your eyes, because that's where most of the light enters your body.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, another important tool women have is technology. Up next on Delmarva Life, I, like many other women, was afraid to make the first step, but I overcame that fear to help women like me overcome the fear of mammography. Plus, we learned just how early you should be screened if breast cancer runs in your family.
Then a little later on, obesity can increase your risk for a lot of ailments, cancer being one of them. We're going to tell you what impact it has on a tumor and what an increasing skirt size says about your risk. Delmarva Life will be right back.
Delmarva Life is brought to you by Sussex County Federal Credit Union, guiding you to your financial future. Peninsula Regional Medical Center, honored to serve the entire Delmarva Peninsula since 1897. Your local York and LG dealers, and State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.